Hey everybody, how's it going out there in YouTube land? Oh, good, that's lucky. I've got water right beside me. Another blazing hot day today in Peg City. We're doing some work on the side of the house. So today I got to pretend I was a man for 5 minutes and rented a small jackhammer and tore the shit out of the side. I'll tell you one thing. I currently have a desk job, and it was made very apparent today. Holy hell. So thankfully, there was plenty of beer in the fridge and a barbecue ready to be fired up for some ribs so I could sit my ass down and recuperate. Thankfully, my son was also here and he could help out, which was great. As I've talked about before, a hell of a kid and really appreciative that he was around to be able to help out with hauling off a bunch of the concrete. So just a couple of things. I just felt like talking to myself, staring into a camera for a little bit. Picked up a couple of books, Comic Addicts, You Know the Score, local rock stars. I had a couple of books on hold from one guy in particular, Dan, and he just held another reply sold thread auction thing. You know, not really an auction because you just say you want it and it's yours. So I got a few books that I thought we'd just have a quick look at. What else is going on? I think that's it. So that's what we'll do. I'm realizing I've just got stacks of goddamn books. Like I spent some time just recently within the last couple of months really tidying things up and really got it to a nice level. And then I got a bunch of books together to get the hell rid of, which I did, which was great. But as usual, I just traded them. And now I'm sitting here looking at stacks of fucking books again. That just makes me lose my mind a little bit. Anyway, let's talk about a couple of more. So slowly but surely chipping away at getting some more Howard the Duck books. I'm going to put on my glasses for the entirety of this video instead of horsing around like I usually do. What do we got there? Issue number 22 on this one. We got Man-Thing in there. Yeah, I mean, I'm chipping away very, very slowly. I haven't sat and read any of these yet. I've flipped through them, just kind of had a look. Haven't sat and read them. I really want to get my hands on number 16 to see where that Vertigo miniseries that I'm just completely blanking on the name of right now first made its appearance. So another Howard the Duck, since I got him out of the bags and boards. Let's have a look. There we go. That's some beautiful shit right there. Oh, I remember the other thing I wanted to briefly talk about. Maybe we'll wait until the end. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. Gerber, writer. Val Mayrick, artist. William Ray, inker. And then Janice Cohen, the colorist. And John Costanza, the letterer. Okay, another Howard the Duck. He had a few. These weren't on any auction that he was holding. I had messaged him. He was one of the guys that I'd messaged looking for some stuff. Hey, Damien, how's it going? All of a sudden, all of your messages popped up at once there. That was very strange. I had messaged him about a couple of other books that I've been looking for, and he reminded me, or he asked me about Howard the Duck, how many issues I need, and I said I need quite a bit. So he pulled out a few for me that he had in his bins. So there we go. Looks like that issue ties into Howard's first appearance in Man-Thing. Yeah, I'm guessing it does. It's a pretty great cover though. I don't remember these specific issues. Oh, hey, I thought that was a message to me, but there you go. Look at you posting on the tweeter there, Damien. Thank you very much. Slowly chipping away at them. I had a few growing up that I know that I just loved, but long since gone. So be cool to get back in them. And then finally for the Howard the Duck issue number 28, Cooking with Gas. Very cartoony image of him there. Different than, I guess it's not a phone. You can turn it upside down and it's not going to keep flipping. Oh yeah, there we go. Carmine Infantino, the penciler, guest plotter Marv Wolfman. So let's have a look inside here. Let's open to a couple of pages that aren't ads. There we are. Nice, very nice. He had a bunch of Witching Hour books up on this last one. I'm not a huge stickler for the grade, but there is a limit where I don't want to go kind of that low. All really, really great stuff for sure, but some in pretty rough shape. Oh, couldn't pass on this issue just because of the cover and put the mask on now. So Witching Hour issue number 53, another one of those series that I'm slowly but surely chipping away at. Oh, I you know I love tempting, Damien. Go for it. Do some hunting. I'm loving that that Tintin book. This is my trade-off. You're getting me interested. I need to find that Tintin book, and if I can pass on some of my addictions to you, that's good. Boy, even with glasses, this one is a little more difficult to read. Yeah, no idea, but right away, the art in this story really jumps out at me. Look at that stuff. There's something about, that gritty kind of feel, that gritty line work, especially to these DC horror anthologies. Really, really great. And it's not a name that I immediately recognize, but again, I can barely read it. Maybe you can read it. If it'll focus, it might be too small to focus on it. Yeah, no such luck there. I can't even hazard a guess at that. I think the last name is Patricio, Patricio. Looks great, though. You bought some Eclipse and First Comics today. Amazing. That's cool. What did you find from Eclipse? So, and then I'm assuming that, I'm guessing that your shops are somewhat open there. Was this just the shops, or was there an actual comic event going on in town? There's a look at the first story too. Great. Slowly but surely. I love these. Really, really fantastic stuff. That Witching Hour is a hell of a series. And then the other Witching Hour I got, issue number 59. Because I've dumped everything out of my phone and my lists, the other reason I passed on a couple of the Witching Hours, I think I might already have them. But because my lists are kind of on my phone, just starting from scratch again, I haven't input these into the phone there yet, which I really, really should, because it feels like to me these are popping up more and more. Not sure if that's just because they're on my radar now and I'm keeping a lookout for them, or if these DC horror titles are actually popping up more. My shop is open. A bunch of others are only pickup. Okay. Hunting while wearing a mask is somehow less focused. I hear you. The Corpse Wore Shoes. Story by Carl Wessler. Art by E.R. Gurr, I think that says. Look at that. I love it. I posted on Twitter before, just the lettering. I love the lettering for the titles of these stories. Really great stuff. Carl Wessler. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, so these I just went to I went to his place to pick him up, and we just hung out outside for a little while and chatted. He's a really great guy. I mean, I've talked about it to death, but I can never say enough. The comic addicts that I've dealt with have all been amazing people. But Dan, I've known for quite a while now. I don't know how many years. He was, I think, one of the first people within that group that I met. I think it might have been him that actually told me about the comic addicts group, I believe. And then started meeting other people. A handful of laser eraser and press button. That's cool, including the 3D one. Amazing. I love the 3D books. He had a few Wonder Womans as well, and I've got a small handful, 4, 6, something like that, right around this numbering. So I picked up 2 of them. Lost Planet and John Sable as well. This is issue number 216 of Wonder Woman. I had read the single issues, a few of the single issues with Lillian, and then we were reading that volume 1 hardcover of Wonder Woman that I put out, or that I picked up rather, and she was digging them. We just fell off. Maybe it's time to pick them up again. Ray, how's it going? So there's a beautiful cover there. Art, John Rosenberger and Vince Coletta. Story by Elliot S. Magan. Yeah, I really want to dive into more of these Wonder Woman for sure. They were a lot of fun to read with her. We just finished volume 1, or book 1 rather, of Bone. I thought it collected first 5 issues. It actually collects the first 6, and I loved it. She was really getting a kick out of it. She was a little less focused on it tonight than she was previously, but she's still liking it. Her mom went to hang out with some friends tonight, so I'm putting it off to, she just was a little unsettled due to that change in pattern. But it was great. We loved it. I'm hoping that she'll come on. I'm hoping that she'll come on with us. Oh, geez, it is. I had thought that it was, but I didn't want to assume just because I saw the name Ray, and I was guessing it was you. I'm hoping that she comes on to the Friday hangout with Dr. Monkeybot and Rasa. She always pokes her head in those hangouts. But when we finished this book, we were talking about it and kind of what her favorite parts were, and just kind of talking about the enjoyment of going through such a thick book together in such a short time. And she had brought up maybe talking about it on camera. So I'm going to, if she wants to, I've already forewarned Adam and Rasa, obviously not really. It would be great for her to sit and just talk about this, and maybe she'll have a couple of words to say about Bone as well too. I mean, every time I do these hangouts, or every time I do a Zoom meeting for work, she can't help herself but poke her head in and wave in the background and stuff. So I think she would get a kick out of sitting and talking about this. This was a lot of fun to read, actually. I enjoyed it. It was really, really difficult to read out loud, I found, just because the language in it, the way that they're speaking, isn't natural to me. I think it might have read quicker if I was just reading it in my head, but saying it out loud, there was a number of times where I really had to focus. But it was a fun story to revisit again, and she was really excited about it. And I think I've talked about it before. There was a couple of times, especially early on when they started on the adventure, she would want to pause and check out the map, and we'd figure out exactly where they were on their trip and where they had, where they had to go and which path they might take and that sort of thing. So she was really getting a kick out of kind of interacting more with the book as well. So it was a lot of fun. So it's nice that she's kind of reaching that age now where we can tackle some bigger stories and some longer stories together, even though, like I've read her Winnie the Pooh and that sort of thing, and we started Wind in the Willows as well. So yeah, my daughter wouldn't have put up with a book without female characters. Okay, only now will she occasionally go for that. Oh, and you started on Asterix. That's awesome. And then the other Wonder Woman I got was number 218 with who's that? Red Tornado and Phantom Stranger. Yes, Red Tornado. This time we have 2 new sensational stories of the amazing Amazon as told by the Red Tornado and me, the Phantom Stranger. Whoa. Statue of Liberty. Getting put in the bonds of the lasso. Heavy shit going on there, man. Current affairs. Here on Comic Crack channel. There we go. Beauty. Looks good, man. I'm glad to add. The last 2 are ones that I was really excited about. These are great and everything, but I'm not familiar with this. I love this cover. I didn't realize it was such a beefy volume. There's no page count. It's at least a double issue. It is the complete Howard Chaykin classic, Iron Wolf from DC. Yeah. That cover jumped out at me as I was scrolling through the thread. Instantly recognizable as Chaykin, and it was dirt cheap. I think it was $1, maybe $2. Don't remember, but not very expensive, so I grabbed it. So I'm excited. And there's the young chap right there. Oh, focus you. There's the young fella. Yeah, I don't know anything about it, but I'm willing to give it a shot. Give some more Chaykin a shot until I finally get out, finally find more volumes of Big Black Kiss, because I cannot wait to dig back into the rest of that series, because that first issue really was a hell of a read. Yeah, no, this looks like a lot of fun. Swashbuckling type of adventures looking in here. There we go. Some Chaykin goodness. And then last but not least, definitely not least, I wasn't sure. I thought about it. It just so happened I hit his thread. Normally, when these guys do stuff on Facebook, they'll post stuff, especially Dan. He'll kind of spread out the postings over the course of a day, sometimes over the course of a couple of days. So I followed the thread one night, and then the next morning when I woke up, saw that he had posted some stuff in the morning. And this last book, I kind of thought about, went away from the page for a minute, came back to it, and before I knew it, I was typing, "I'll take it," you know. Wasn't quite sure what I felt about it. It's not that I bought it for the artist. I bought it. I mean, that's partially why I bought it, but I bought it because I do genuinely want to read this whole series, and I have started it, the graphic novel, and I've read a couple of the single issues. I've got a chunk of them. I don't have nearly all of them yet. So it's Coyote, the infamous issue number 11 with Todd McFarlane's first published artwork in this one. And it was another one of those, like the Daredevil 168 kind of thing. I just figured it's just not gonna be a book that I'll ever get, and I put it completely out of my mind. It's not something that I focused on, not even something that I went out there looking for, to be honest. But when it showed up in the thread, it was the very last book that he posted in that thread. I back and forth once or twice, and then I just found myself typing, "I'll take it," and here it is. So let's have a look. I figured let's have a little look inside. And again, like one of those things, when I started, it's in beautiful shape, first of all. I mean, I'll say that, like, it's in fantastic shape. If I was, GPAP, if I was a slabber, this would be one that I would slab for sure. I wouldn't even hazard a guess on what kind of grade I would get to it, because I'm useless at that. But I mean, as Nick would say, those corners are razor sharp, buddy. They're razor sharp. So when I looked online on the eBay, on like auctions that were actually sold, not stuff that was currently up for auction, surprised at how much this potentially can go for. Like all of the books, its value rises when they are slabbed. And I saw a couple that were like 9.8s, I think, and they were almost $300 Canadian ish. I mean, I wouldn't say I was a huge fan. I did like them. I did have a Spawn era, you know, when I was living in Ontario. So that would have been 1999, 2000, 2001, 2, right around there. I was buying a lot of Spawn. What I was a fan of, to be honest, what I was a real fan of was his toys. When I first saw even the Spawn toys, that's what got me wanting to buy the comic and check out the comic. And I really loved the Hellspawn series quite a bit. I loved Sam and Twitch. That series I thought was fantastic. Before that, I knew of him because my brother was a huge Spider-Man fan. So I remember when that Spider-Man book came out, my brother bought a bunch of the covers that I recently, when I was selling off his comics for him, that was one of the ones those were some of the ones that I sold. So, I mean, I was always aware of him, but I really became a fan when I saw the toys because those toys were like nothing I'd ever seen before. And I bought a few figures. I've never been an enormous figure collector or toy collector, but seeing his stuff, I did buy some Spawn toys. They're long since gone though, but it was mind blowing, the stuff that he was doing. And it really just made sense. It was like, yes, why haven't toys and stuff like this haven't been made like this previously? So here we are, introducing Todd McFarlane Penciler, yet another new name to conjure with, I believe that says, if my glasses are telling me right. I would say for me, recognizable, instantly recognizable, not for my eyes, but again, I don't follow everything that he says or does. And yes, absolutely, the value between 9.8 and 9.6 can be kind of big sometimes. Totally agree. I like the guy quite a bit. When I watched that video recently where he was on the Kayfabe channel, or maybe not recently, it was a while ago now, but I really liked that interview as much as he was kind of doing his shtick. I do like the guy. I can appreciate his sense of things and the way he approaches the comics industry and stuff. And I mean, I'll give them all credit, like we were talking about on Friday on Dr. Monkeybot's channel. I think it was this Friday, maybe the last week. I'll give all of them credit as far as going off and starting their own company at the time that they did and understanding their value as creators and artists and not letting anybody tell them otherwise and going, fuck you, you know, try to stop us because you're so pissed off about it. It gives us more juice to go out and do it. We now know we're doing absolutely the right thing. So there's a couple of pages there. These next couple of pages surprised me. He is the penciler, so I wonder, but again, I may be completely off my rocker. I don't associate kind of layouts like this with McFarlane, but again, I could be completely wrong about that, and maybe he's done a bazillion layouts like this. I love these 2 pages a lot. This is right up my alley, this layout and this style. I think it's fantastic the way the panels fall off into space there and, you know, almost mirror each other down below here on each of those pages. Really, really nice. There we go there. Yeah, so, you know, I've got it. And I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say I was a little excited to have this, because this does feel like a milestone. You know, Todd McFarlane is a little bit of a name, you know, even getting that Daredevil 168 and some, when I finally do kind of jump on, you know, not that I've done it a lot, but a couple of the bigger books, it is pretty exciting holding it in your hand, knowing that you have the very first bit of art that someone's done. Yeah, that could be, hey, especially with those pages, Damien. So I'm excited about this. This is great. It really puts me on the hunt for more Coyote. Now that I have this one, I'm guessing, and I have to double check, I don't think there's any more big issues in that run as far as things that may be unreachable for me. So I'd really like to do a hard dive into trying to get a bunch more Coyote sooner than later. Maybe I'll hit up my other comic guru here in town and see if he's got any Coyote on any of his lists, because I'd love to dig into that series. So that's it. Just those small stack of books. The other thing that I was going to talk about is, boy, I wish I was good at remembering things. Thank goodness for these devices, I tell you. What do we got? Where are we here, people? Rasa was talking about this comic book channel that she has been watching. I guess that started as an audio podcast, and then just recently has moved to videos, and it's called Ink, the Ink Pulp, all one word, INKPULP, the Ink Pulp podcast. I watched episode 10 last night, and holy smokes, even right now, this video has been up for 6 days. There's only 178 views. So the video itself, episode 10, is Tim Sale has given them some pencils or some drawings, basically. I think it was Vampirella, Daredevil, Solomon Grundy. Was there another one as well? He gave him a few choices, and he's sitting with fucking Klaus Janson, fucking Jim Mahfood, and some other guy who I guess is the host of this, and I'm blanking on his name right now. It's nobody that I know, and I'm not seeing his name readily here. He's the guy behind the Ink Pulp podcast. It is a fantastic 2 hours because they sit and talk, but you're seeing each of the artists inking Tim Sale. So you're seeing them do it in real time. And it's fucking beautiful to watch. The stories are really great. It's a bit of a frustrating episode, especially for Tim, because he's having problems with his computer. So his computer just cuts out on him a number of times in the middle of stories. He does a fairly good job of keeping up with the story and telling us the tail end, but it's like the kayfabe guys, just another level where instead of just looking at the talking heads, which nothing wrong with that, I love seeing them ink his stuff, and him commenting on it. And honestly, Mahfood's style doesn't jump out at me. It is pretty recognizable, but watching him ink a page is really impressive, because it looks like he's using tools that aren't anywhere near the kind of traditional tools. Even when he's filling in the black spaces, he's using a Q-tip. And at one point when he's doing that, even Tim Sale stops him and goes, "What the hell are you using there to fill in those blacks?" And he's like, "I just use a Q-tip because I don't want to ruin my brushes. So I just load it up with black ink and I just fill in those big spaces with that." Jensen uses a brush through the whole thing. Like I said, Mahfood uses a number of different utensils. Really, really great, especially for the Daredevil piece, because I think all of them do a version of the Daredevil piece. So it's really nice to see their interpretation of it and how it moves through. Highly, highly recommended. Thanks very much to Rasa for putting this on our radar on Friday, because it's a hell of a channel. There's a couple of other, even in this one, they're talking about in a future episode, they'd love to ink some Frank Miller stuff. And Klaus is like, "Well, why don't I call him up? I'll see if we can get him on the show. That would be great. And he can sit and do the same thing that we did with Tim and da-da-da." So that would be fantastic if something like that happened in the future. I'm hoping that this format lasts. When I watched I watched part of another episode last night or today or whenever it was. And still good. They spend a less time inking and talking. There's a lot of talking head stuff, and they kind of don't always talk about comics in that specific one. There was a bunch of stuff I skipped. They were talking about listening to music and hip hop and that sort of thing, which that's fine and everything. But I want to see the draw for me is seeing them inking a page and talking about the industry and that sort of thing. So I hope they can keep this format up where they have a guest come on and they can ink some of that guest's pencils live on the show. Really, really great. Highly recommended. Episode number 10 from 6 days ago is the one you want to check out just to give it a shot. Other than that, that's it. Thanks very much, Rez. It was nice to see you. GPAP, really great to see you as always. And Damien, always a pleasure. Thanks very much for hanging out with me. I don't want to rattle off anymore because I don't really have anything else to talk about. So, yeah, thanks very much. And I don't think I'm going to be able to make it on Friday now that I'm talking about all of this. Work has started up really kind of full gear for us. So I'm probably not going to be. It's called The Ink Pulp, INKPULP, all one word there, Damien. Well worth checking out. Episode 10 is the episode you want to look for from like 6 days ago. So our Friday night chats, at least for me anyway, might be coming to a close just because of the amount of work that's coming. But I don't want to say that for sure yet because I'm hoping that the schedule I'm hoping that I can still make it work at least once more before we go full bore. Or maybe I'll talk to them about seeing if everybody's okay with moving it a day, even if it's a Saturday night for them, that might work. Anyway, thanks very much, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Later.